Hey everyone, I am Rebecca Keppel and I'm so excited to be guest designing for Altenew this month. The Altenew September release is filled with foil plates, stencils, stamps, dies, embellishments, just an enormous amount of gorgeous designs that will help you create so many different types of cards. This video is also part of the Altenew September release video hop. All of the details, including the details about the giveaway, will be in the YouTube description box underneath this video, so be sure to check there to find out how to enter to win. I have several collections and cards to share with you today, so I'll show you the new products as we go along. First, let's check out the Falling Stars collection. So the first thing in this collection is a set of foil plates. You get this amazing star background as well as two different sentiments, Dream and Shine, and they are outlines of foil plates so you can color them in. Here's the die set. You can see it cuts out both of the sentiments as well as all the different sizes of stars. So you can have the stars be a background, you can cut them out individually. This is the stencil. You can color in the stars or color in the sentiments. So this is an easy way to color in those elements and to get a really fun starry background. So starting with my glimmer machine, I have it warming up the foil plate that is the background of stars, and I have it sort of vertically up and down. You could also do it horizontally side to side. I have a piece of gold foil taped to an A2 piece of white cardstock. I like to tape my foil down to the cardstock so it doesn't slide around when I pull out the platform or insert it into my die cut machine, which is what I am doing right now. So when I peel off that foil, you can see that those gold stars are absolutely adorable. I love them. These could be used for a variety of cards. Congratulations cards, new baby cards. I mean, it's really limitless. And I just love the shape of those stars as well. Here I have the sentiments, and I don't need as big of a piece of a foil to foil both of those. So I don't have it wrapped around the back of that cardstock, but I do have it taped down to the front. And you can see in gold or rainbow or any other foil color, these are such a cool retro looking font. I'm using the Altenew stamp wheel, which has a sticky background to hold my cardstock in place and the stencil in place. So it just, without adhesive, it's got a stickiness to it that keeps those both in place so that they won't skid around while you're working on your coloring in of the sentiments. I wanted to create an ombre look for these sentiments, so I'm using a couple of different colors of ink so that I can have the bottom of the sentiment be a little bit darker and the top will kind of fade into that. And I think by doing the darker over the lighter, it got lost a little bit on the dream. It definitely looks like an ombre, but I really wanted to show up even better on the shine. So I started with the darker color and then added the lighter color on top and blended those together. But either way, ink inside those foiled elements looks absolutely amazing, and it's such an easy way to customize the color inside the foiled elements. Of course, then you have the dies to be able to cut those out. So for the other side of the stencil, it has the stars. Now those stars could be colored in a rainbow of colors. Here, since I have the rainbow foil, I decided to just go with a pink that would match the sentiments. Now I can use those star dies to cut individual stars out. So I'll use the gold star background vertically as my background, and then I've cut out the stars to use as embellishments. For the sentiments, I'll use both words, shine and dream, just popped up on some foam adhesive, and then I'll take little bits of foam squares behind the stars and pop those up as well. Again, that makes a really fun customized embellishment for this card because the pink matches the sentiment, and then there's all that foiling in gold and then foiling in rainbow on some of those popped up stars. So this was a really fun card to create, and I just love those stars. While I love the way those stars looked on white cardstock, I thought they would look amazing on dark cardstock as well. So I foiled them on a dark blue cardstock, and now I'm adding some dark blue and black ink just to add a little bit more of a nighttime sky effect. And I'll just brush away the excess ink so that the foil still shines. The mat in the background of the stamp wheel is very easy to clean, especially with inks that are reactive with water. And then I'll replace it and replace the stencil on top. This time I'll use some solar paste to create a variety of different colors, a rainbow of colors that shine and have that pearlescent look to them. So I'm just using a palette knife to swipe the color down on the stencil. Just be sure to clean off your stencil right away so that it doesn't stay stuck on there. And then I'll just use a scraper to even out that coverage so that it is more consistent. And check that out. It's such a gorgeous look. I had some extra on a palette knife, so I decided to swipe that down as well. And then I'll use that extra piece to cut out some of the stars with those dies. I also foiled the Dream Sentiment in silver on the dark blue cardstock, and I'm using a white pencil just to add a little bit of shading to the bottom of those letters. It just, to me, gave a dreamy effect to that Dream Sentiment. I'll pop that up. This time I'm making a horizontal A2 card rather than vertical, and then I'll pop up and then also glue down some of those die cut stars that were die cut out of the solar paste on the same color of cardstock. But you can't really see the cardstock, but it gives a hint to the background of those stars. So another way to use that set and makes a totally different effect. The next collection is Inspiring Diamond. It starts with a layering stamp set. It's absolutely phenomenal. It is a layering gem, faceted looking gem or diamond. There's also a die set that cuts out the diamond and all those little sparkles. There's another die set that cuts out the sentiments. I really like that they've separated them out. So if you wanted to just grab the shapes, it's a small die set and a good price point. If you wanted both, you can have both. There's also a geometric 3D embossing folder called Faceted Frame. I, again, really love this. I love geometric designs. For those of you who have seen my videos before, you know that. So again, we're going back to the Altenew stamp wheel, and this time it's for layered stamping. So I have some of the Altenew ink cubes here, and they come in 4 hues or 4 shades of a hue or color. So I'm starting with the lightest one for the first layer of the stamp. And the great thing about this stamp wheel is that the stamp stays exactly in place, so you can ink it up multiple times and get the impression that you really, really want. I was also able to flip the stamp wheel around 180 degrees so I could stamp a second diamond for another card. This makes it really easy to do multiple images in 1 or 2 passes. So for the next layer, I have the next darkest color, and you can see how it's starting to build up to that entire faceted look of a gem, which is so cool and so much fun for so many different cards. Again, you could do engagement with this gem, or just congratulations, or how fabulous you are. And like I mentioned, I have flipped the wheel around so that I can stamp it twice, and I'll have 2 images to work with. And then I'll use the coordinating dies to cut those out. Next, I have a piece of white cardstock. I'm going to place it inside the Faceted Frame Geometric 3D embossing folder. So I'm using an A2 piece of white cardstock. I'm going to place that inside the stamp wheel and then just use some of that Altenew ink to ink blend over top of the embossed background, and that will make that image stand out really well. Now, the white is gorgeous because it's a very subtle look, but if you want to really see the facets, then a little bit of ink is great as well. Or you can emboss a metallic piece of cardstock, and then you're really going to see the design. So I wanted to use both of these on this card. So I trimmed down the outside of the white cardstock with the ink and placed it over top of the metallic cardstock. Then I have a little bit of foam tape behind the gem image so I can pop it up. I love having the sentiment dies because then you can pop those up as well. You don't have to fussy cut everything, and it gives you lots of dimension on that card. Then I have a little bit of a quickie glue pen that I am just drawing the lines of the gem that are stamped so that I can then pour a little bit of glitter on top. This is just a fine loose glitter in an iridescent color, and that just adds a little bit more sparkle because the sentiment says you deserve to sparkle. As I mentioned, this is a really great encouragement or congratulatory stamp set that has some really sweet sentiments. Next, I'll take the little shine marks or sparkles and I'll place those in the stamp wheel, and I have two different colors of the blue ink that I used on the gem itself. So I'll do a few of those sparkles in one color and a few of the sparkles in a slightly darker color. And again, the really great thing about the stamp wheel is that if I want them a little bit darker or a little bit more ink to them, I can just flip it back over, re-ink those stamps, then flip the wheel back over again, and it stays exactly where it's supposed to. It doesn't shift at all because of that sticky background too. Then I can use the shape dies to cut those out, and once they were cut out, I decided to add a little bit of glitter to those as well. So a little quickie glue pen on top, and then pouring that loose glitter on top of that, and then just picking them out of the loose glitter. I can then pop those up on the card as well. Lots of dimension, lots of sparkle and shine. Another way to use that layering stamp is to use it with a variety of colors instead of different hues of one color or different shades of one color. So this time I'm still using the stamp wheel so that I can get perfect placement. I stamped 3 different colors, and then for the final layer, I'm using Versamark embossing ink and then using some embossing powder that has a little sparkle to it on top. And when you heat set that, I love the way that last layer really has that shine right on the gem. It kind of looks like a gem would be catching in the light. Then I have another sentiment from that stamp set. I'm doing these both on a piece of cardstock. You could keep them right on this cardstock and do a 1-layer card. I'm using a little bit of clear embossing powder on top of that sentiment that I stamped that was in pigment ink so that it has some shine as well. And I'm using the dies to cut out both the sentiment from the sentiment stamp set and dies and the diamond. Now I'll use that faceted frames embossing folder to emboss some mirror silver cardstock and place that on a pink A2 background, pop up the gem right in the center of that faceted embossed area. It looks perfect, and then the sentiment right on top of that. This is such a fun set and has some really sweet sentiments to go with it. Next up, we have the Uplifting Sentiments stamp set and die set. I like that these come separately, so if you don't like to use dies to cut out your sentiments, you don't have to, but they're great for me because I like to pop up my sentiments a lot. There's also the Flower Shine foil plate. This is a great kind of mosaic looking background for a foil plate, and I love these big bold images that you can create in a foil design. There's also a stencil set with the Flower Shine, and you can color in every little image in that background. There's also a die set where you can cut out a couple of the flowers and a couple of the flowers with the leaves attached. And there's an enamel elements set. Now these are pretty genius because they're like enamel dots, but they're shaped in a way that they can be placed inside that foil design. So first we'll start with the foil plate of Flower Shine. And this creates an A2 card. So you have the rectangle background and then the mosaic mosaic image in the center. So I have an A2 piece of white cardstock and some gold foil taped to it. Then I'll place my plates on top and remove the platform and run it through my die cut machine. So once that's done, I have this entire foiled background, and check it out. It's absolutely gorgeous. Comes out so well. It's a beautiful design. I love it in gold, but you can do it in lots of other colors. Of course, I had to try it in rainbow as well and in green. So there's just pretty much a limitless number of colors you could use with this. Starting with the gold background, I wanted to show you how all of these enamel elements fit inside the different parts of the background. So you have petals for the flowers. You have circles for those dots on the side. There are also diamonds as well as leaves. Now, when I'm just taking my time, it's because I have a few options of colors. So I could have planned this out, but I just kind of went for it, and I actually really liked the outcome. I think all these colors really work well together. So it really almost doesn't matter what you end up choosing because they all just look super cool together anyway. And you could always skip some. You don't have to fill in every single one, or you can fill them all in. It is totally your choice. And you can see that I have extras for another card. So that is the background that I'm going to be working with. And then I have one of those sentiments from the Uplifting Sentiments stamp set. It says, "You're the best." I love these sentiments. They are really uplifting, and I just like how bold they are as well. So I'm using the Altenew stamp wheel to get this image stamped as black and crisp as I possibly can. And that means for me, I'm going to double stamp it. So I'll ink up that stamp again and then flip the wheel over, place it exactly where it was before, and that sticky background holds the cardstock in place so that I have no problems, no smearing, no shifting, or anything like that. Then I'm going to pour a little bit of clear, fine embossing powder on top because that was a pigment ink that I was using, and then I'll be able to heat set that so that the sentiment shines as well, because those enamel elements are so shiny and pretty. I wanted the sentiment to shine too. I have the dies, of course, so I can cut it out, and that allows me to, after I run it through my die cut machine, pop it up on top of those enamel dots. So there's lots of dimension and shine on this card. It is so cute, and all the colors are so much fun. I also wanted to use the rainbow foiled background that I created with the flower shine. So this time I'm using the stencil set on top. It is a layering stencil set so that you could do each layer in a separate color. I decided to do multiple colors so that I could have a real rainbow of colors on top of that rainbow foiled background. I did trim it down a little bit to 4 by 5 1/4, and then I trimmed off the top third of that stenciled panel. So that'll give me a good place to fit my sentiment. So I have another one of those uplifting sentiments, nice, big, bold, and uplifting, of course, saying wishing you all the best. And I've stamped that, and I'll die cut it out as well. And then you can pop it up. That is the beauty of having the dies, of course. And that little area that was white, left white because I chopped off part of the panel, looks like the perfect area for a sentiment and an enamel dot in the big flower to finish it off. I mentioned that this collection has a foil plate, stencils, and dies. So I wanted to make use of the dies for this card. So I used the foil plate to foil a piece of alabaster cardstock and a piece of dark blue cardstock. And I'll trim down the alabaster to 4 by 5 1/4 and mat it on some more of the dark navy. Then I'll use the dies to cut out the flowers and leaves with flowers. I'll stamp and heat emboss one of the uplifting sentiments. It says shine bright in gold on the dark blue cardstock so that it all matches and is consistent together. Then I can use some foam squares to pop up those elements that I've die cut out. I wanted a few more of those elements that didn't have dies. So after I die cut the sentiment and popped it up on some foam tape, I decided to actually fussy cut out a few more pieces so that I would be able to fill just a few more in to make that panel look like it was consistent with enough of the dark blue. So you can see I cut out some of the circles, small dots with a line, some of those diamonds as well, and those little oblong shapes, and it really pulls the whole card together. I absolutely love this effect, and it's so different than the others that I created in this collection. I have been a huge fan of Altenew for a long time, so I was super excited to get to guest design for them this month and share these new products with you. Let me know if something caught your eye in the comments below. Don't forget to look down below and enter the giveaway before you go. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. Video. There will be... One more time. Okay, slow down and relax, and don't think about how it is getting very sweaty in here.